Hey friend, it's Cristin Candace. Welcome back to Shut Down Not Shaken. This space is for those of us navigating uncertainty, giving ourselves some grace, and finding moments of ease even when the world feels, for some of us it may feel like it's on pause, for others it may feel like it's on fire. Today's episode is one I've wanted to do for a long time about self-care. Not the kind we post about or purchase, but the kind that sustains us. Because somewhere along the way, self-care, which began as radical and as a necessary act of survival, turned into another thing to buy or perform or prove. So today, we're talking about what happens when self-care becomes performative, why so many of us are still tired despite doing all the things, and how we can return to self-care as presence and response, not performance. I don't know who said this or where I got it from, but I have been saying this for the last couple of years. And it's that self-care is paying attention to the present moment and responding. And so let's start there. Before there were self-care Sundays and wellness influencer hashtags, and self-care just really had a much different meaning. In the Black Girlhood Studies Collection, the authors write about how Black girls and women have long practiced self-care as community care, as a strategy for survival and wholeness in systems that often ignored or harmed us. They describe how Black girls save themselves through collective rituals, like braiding each other's hair, showing up at church, storytelling, or simply creating safe spaces to breathe and be. This version of self-care wasn't pretty or marketable. It was protective. And decades before the wellness industry, Audre Lorde declared, "Caring for myself is not self-indulgence, it is self-preservation." And that is an act of political warfare. For Lorde, and for many Black women of that time, self-care meant tending to your own humanity when the world refused to. But as self-care became popularized, I would say especially in the 2010s, it also became commercialized. Corporations realized that our exhaustion could be monetized. Now, self-care is a $5 trillion global industry. We're told to buy candles, crystals, and skincare to fix what's actually broken inside. And while those things can be beautiful, they often distract from the real question. What is this moment asking of me, and how will I respond? What is this moment asking of me, and how will I respond? Performative self-care is tricky because it looks like care, but it leaves us oftentimes feeling even emptier than we were before. It's when you buy something instead of feeling something, when you post your rest instead of experiencing it, when you curate your peace instead of creating it. It's the kind of self-care that you tell yourself, I deserve it, but it doesn't teach you how to sustain it. And I'm not trying to shame your comforts or small luxuries. It's about noticing when consumption replaces connection, when we treat self-care as a transaction instead of a practice. In this chapter, Kaltefleiter and Alexander, the authors, remind us that true self-care for Black girls has been community-based. It's not solitary or self-absorbed. It's rooted in shared survival. When the wellness industry sells us self-care as individual achievement, and it says you alone can fix yourself if you buy enough, it strips away the very thing that made self-care revolutionary in the first place, and that's the collective healing. So if self-care is popular and everyone's practicing it, why are we still exhausted? Because what most of us need isn't another product. It's permission to pause, permission to feel, permission to say no. You can't face mask your way out of burnout. You can't journal through systemic exhaustion. You can't bubble bath away a boundary that's been crossed too many times. Real self-care asks for honesty about what is actually draining you and what it will take to change it. And that honesty can be uncomfortable. It might mean turning down opportunities that don't align. It might mean having hard conversations or walking away from toxic spaces. It might mean asking for help when your pride wants to keep quiet. That's the kind of self-care that corporations can't sell because it's rooted in self-trust, not spending. So let's come back to how I define self-care. Self-care is paying attention to the present moment and responding. Notice, it's not about reacting or escaping. It's about responding consciously, compassionately. Presence is the foundation of real care. So what might this look like in practice? If your body feels heavy, maybe self-care is rest, not a new planner. If your spirit feels isolated, maybe self-care is community, not solitude. If your mind feels cluttered, maybe self-care is silence, not scrolling and stimulation. If your heart is feeling ignored, maybe self-care is truth, not pretending. Self-care doesn't always feel relaxing. Sometimes it's saying no. Sometimes it's yes to therapy. Sometimes it's forgiving yourself. It's an ongoing conversation between you and your needs. Think of grandmothers who cooked for entire neighborhoods, aunties who kept towels for cousins who needed a place to stay, or girlfriends who gather for Sunday calls just to check in. That's self-care too. It's recognizing that your healing ripples outward and that community care begins when you show up whole. During this shutdown and beyond, remember your rest is resistance, but your connection is restoration. Self-care is not selfish. It's how we remember our power. So today, before you click add to cart, just pause and ask yourself, is this what I need right now or what I've been sold? Real self-care doesn't require perfection. It invites participation. You don't need more products. You need more presence. Because self-care was never meant to be performed. It was meant to be practiced. It's how we pay attention and it's how we come home. So take a breath. Listen to what this moment is asking of you and respond. And if the government is still shut down, I'll see you tomorrow.